everyone, to begin our hat here, I'm going to be using a medium weight acrylic yarn. This is just 3.5 ounce ball. I'm going to be using a J size hook, which is 6.0 millimeters for a woman's size. I'll put some hook suggestions in the video box below, here down below the video, and those are just suggestions for different sizes from babies up to the man. For a man, I would probably use a size K. You're going to need a yarn needle to sew in your tails, some scissors, and then you're going to need a measuring tape to measure the length of your work. And so let's go ahead and get started. So here to get started, this is really super easy, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how we do this. You're going to get your yarn, and here's the tail of the yarn. You're going to start by making a little slip loop. You just make a little loop, and then you bring the yarn to the back. I'm going to bring out our hook. I'm going to actually make this, let me do this, tail a little longer, because it's easier to sew in a tail when it's a little longer than when it's really short. It's kind of hard. So here I'm going to start my first row of chains. I don't want to do them too tightly because I want them to be able to be available for me to work into that chain. So here to begin, I'm going to start making 40 chains. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to go continue to do. I make 40. If you don't want your hat to fold over as much as mine did, you could try doing maybe 35 chains or 30. I'm going to go ahead and start with my 40, and we'll come back when I finish doing my 40 chain. Okay, I've done all my chains here. So here now we're going to start doing a single crochet in every stitch. So here, let me get a little bit closer so you could see better. And so here now, I'm just going to do beginning on the second chain from the hook. This doesn't count, so here's 1, 2. I'm going to do 1 single crochet. I just put my hook into the chain, pull out my yarn. You'll see 2 little loops there, and pull through both of them. That's the first stitch. 2. And just continue all the way around, all the way to the end. If you sometimes get lose track of your first stitch, you could put a stitch marker there on that first stitch to kind of help you so you don't get lost there. So just go ahead and do 1 single crochet all the way to the end. Okay, I finished my single crochet in all of my chains. So now I'm just going to go ahead and turn my work over. I'm going to chain 1, and then in my first stitch, which is right there, you can see the little loop there, I'm going to go ahead and do, single crochet, but only in the back loop. Let me show you what those little loops look like. So if you look at the chain here, let me try to move that tail there, you can see that they have 1 loop in the front and 1 in the back. Now we just want to go only into the back, and you'll be able to see it here. Let me turn that over there. You can see that that chain has the back loop here, and then it has a front loop. So we're only going to be working through this back loop here, and we're going to leave the front one free. And you're going to do that in every stitch all the way across, and every time you turn your work, you're going to chain 1 and then start there in those first stitches only in the back loop. This will give you the ribbing effect. So here I've chained 1, and when I go up, I can see that that first stitch is there. This one doesn't count. That's the chain I just made. So there's my first stitch. I'm going to go in here and pull out my yarn and do my first stitch. Now you can still see that the front chain part, the front loop, is still free. I'm going to go into the next stitch, into the back loop only, pull out my yarn, and do my next stitch. So here, let's see if you can see that better. You can see that the stitch is going only through the back loop. Once again, get that there, front loop only, and pull your stitch. Now if I were to fold this down, you can see that all the front loops are free, and you're going to continue that all the way across your entire stitches on top of that chain in the back loop only. When you get to the end, you're going to chain 1, turn your work over, and continue in the same way, just like that. Let me show you when I get to the end what it looks like, and it's going to start giving you that by working in the back loop here, you're going to create the loop effect, the rib. You can even see it here at the end, how it's kind of like a little peak. That's what we're looking for. Okay, here I've come to my last stitch there, and now you can see how it's ridging, like it's a little rib there. So now to continue, you're just going to chain one, turn your work over, and just continue doing the same thing you did there. So here you're going to start in your first stitch there, go into the back loop only, and continue adding rows, as many rows as you need. And okay, now you're going to continue adding rows like I did here until your piece is large enough to fit around your head. Now when I measured my head, here, like let me use this head as an example. I wanted to let you guys know that these heads that you get from the craft stores, this is supposed to be a man's head. They're not to size, meaning they're not the same size as actual people's heads, so you have to keep that in mind. When I measure my head, you're just going to put this here, whichever way you want to do it. You could wrap the piece around your head if it's easier for you, or else you could just measure around the head. This is about almost like 21 inches, and this is how the size at my head. So this is why I know that these are not right. And then the female ones are a lot smaller. So either what you could do then is either you could measure this piece. You could put this and put it around your head and make sure that it fits right there. This one's actually a little bit looser, so when I put this, it's a little bit over. And the reason that I'm going to be sewing it up, but the reason I want it to be not completely really taut is because when I fold it over, I still want it to have the shape. I don't want it to lose the shape. And because this is going to be folded up as the brim of our hat. Now another way, if you don't want to put it around your head, you could just get your measurement. This is 21 inches. So from here to here, let me see if I could put it a little bit further, okay? So let's say from here to here is 21 inches. And you want to be able to put one edge and stretch it to that 21 inches without losing the shape of the ribbing. See how this is still shaped? If you pull it super tight, it gets flat and the ribbing doesn't look as nice. So either way, whichever way is easier for you, it doesn't have to go all the way over because it's going to fold over. So you could just put it on your head or the person's head. Make sure it goes around. Mine goes a little bit over, so I could have probably done it a little bit less. I did mine for about 16 inches, but I probably could have done even 15 and a half. So now once we have these pieces, once your rows are done, you're going to fold it on itself like this. And you could either crochet with a slip stitch all the way down, or you could sew with your needle. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to use a slip stitch, and I'm going to join my two pieces. Right now, there really isn't a right or wrong side. Technically there is, but you really can't see it. It just has these beautiful ribs. So now I'm going to get the stitch here where I was at, where I finished. Let me put it this way so I could, since we're going from right to left. And then you're going to get your stitch, go into the first stitch there. And you could slip stitch, or you could do a single crochet. Let me get that there. So I slip stitch there, but this is the first stitch. I'm going to go through that again. I want to reinforce that edge. So I'm going from one to the next. And now on one side, let me see if I could get this closer so you could see what I'm talking about. On one side, you're going to have the actual stitch here, see, with the both loops. The other side will only be the bottom one loop, because that's the actual starting chain where you started. So one of your stitches will have two. So here when I go into the next stitch, I'm going through both of them. You see that little two loops there. And then I'm going into the second stitch right here. So if you look at all of them, it actually looks like the loop on your hook, the next chain stitch, single crochet stitch, and then the bottom loop chain from the beginning chain where you started. You go again, the next stitch, and then into the bottom starting chain, and you pull through both of them. So now we're joining them together. You repeat aligning them all, just like that. Or if you want, you can fasten off and make a long string, add your yarn needle, and then sew it up this way. Now you could see that we do it this way, it continues that ridge, so we don't lose that ridge there with a seam. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this. going into every next stitch and then the next bottom chain. You're going to slip stitch through all of them. Okay, so here I have finished sewing up my, joining my seams here. And so now it's just a circle right there. And now here we're going to close off the top of our hat just to gather it like this. So now I need to cut a string that's going to go all the way around. So here I'm going to go ahead and take my yarn and grab some more yarn here. And I want to make sure I do a tail long enough, so I'm going to go 1, 2, and then 3. I know it's going to be really long, but I'd rather have more than not enough. So once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and fasten this off, meaning I grab the yarn through there and then pull it through, and now our piece is joined. Now it's a circle. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the yarn that I cut off, and I'm just going to go ahead and thread my needle. So now all you need to do is you're going to grab the ends, your work. I'm going to get a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing here. And you're just going to gather this up. So I'm just going to go actually through these top layers, just like that. I don't want to go through that kind of big hole there, but I'm just going to go through those stitches, in and out, just like that, all the way around. Oops, make sure I got a little knot here. Let me take that off. We don't want any knots. And you're just going to continue in, out, in, out, in, out, all the way around. So all our stitches are here. So now all we need to do is tighten it. Some people even like to do it double-stranded. It's up to you. So now here, you're going to pull it shut, tight, and then you're going to go ahead, just make a little knot to hold it tight, right there. And then with the strands doubled like this, the tail, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to catch the top here. To kind of, so there's no holes showing. See that? We don't want it shows. So you're going to go from this stitches here, grab these here, sew them up here to the next layer. We're going to close that hole up so it doesn't show. Once you do that, I'm going to rotate it this way, and I'm going to go across this direction. So we're just trying to close off any hole. And you could also add a pom-pom so that you never see the gathered portion. And now I've gone in this direction and in that direction. I'm going to use the tail there and make my knot. Once you do your knot, you can go ahead and just kind of sew in weave in the tails here. Now I'm going to weave in this tail. Okay, I finished sewing in all my tails here, just trimmed them off. And now this, you can see that this is going to be the wrong side now. All you need to do is flip over your hat, and then stitching that kind of closes that off. This is perfect too because you could add a pom-pom, you could add curly cues if you don't really want to see that. Although it really blends in, you can't really see it that way. Now we have all these beautiful ridges and it's nice and comfy. Now you just fold up your hat for your brim, and I would always, the place where I stitched it up at the end, I put that towards the back. And if you don't want to wear it with the brim, you could just wear it this way, then it turns into a slouchy beanie just like that on your head. I fold it up, put it on your head, and it just looks great. See? Now, that's why I said if you don't want to wear it, I would fold this up. Remember, this head is not really the size of a person's head, this mannequin. And if you want to wear it like this with your rim, keeps your forehead nice and warm. Or you don't have to fold it up. Just let it hang, and then if you wear it like this, then it becomes a slouchy beanie, but you still have all these beautiful rib. And I think this is one of the easiest rib beanies to do. So I will put it in the playlist for my other rib beanies. If you like this, I have 2 other rib beanies on my channel that you can take a look at. And I just love the way those nice little ribs look. It just looks really pretty. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. And remember always that God loves you.